Hi, Jay. I'm Atsuo, the CEO of the Bushiroad, and thanks for the good intro of the Hirumi. I've related with him since my previous company was Bandai Namco. I was in charge of setting up the Malaysia studio. But one fun story was Hirumi was kind of the originated to bring the gaming world into the academic area. So it's been 2 decades ago. So he had brought some study of the gaming at the time. So let me start from my self-intro. My career as a gaming has started 5 years ago in a DNA. At the time, we have brought some Japanese card battle game titles into the North America. And after bypassing the Deloitte as a consulting, I was in charge of setting up the mobile studios of the Vancouver. And I was a developer to make the Pac-Man 256 or Tap My Katamari, and transferring to the Singapore studios and setting up the Malaysia studios. I'm always spearheading those foundation work. And the Bushiroad is recently, last fall, I just joined in as the head of these Singapore studios. And originally, this Bushiroad was a trading card game business, but start to proliferate the sales into this digital area. So top right hand, you can see that the titles we have developed. And moving to what is Bushiroad is doing, our half of our sales come from the trading card game business, but quarterly we come from digital game. That proportion is now growing, and a quarter come from the pro wrestling. So it's a bit tricky to define what is our core main business is. But thanks to those 4 business pillars, we have been successful to gain revenue, starting from the scratch to the 230 million in a US dollar basis in these days. And it's still growing. So our core strength is not specific area of the gaming or the animation or any other kind of the character related one. But more than that, specialty is focused on the creation of the character IP. So today's nitty-gritty of today's session is, I want to share some insightful stories. How did we develop the original character from scratch? It's quite rare to see actually starting from the scratch, but one character stimulates the users to desire the purchasement opportunity and to business opportunity. But that process is trickiest, but Japan and the US example may help to understand how could we do it even in this ASEAN region. So that's what I'm trying to say today. So original license and the mixed external license, we can take the both hand of the licensor and the licensee. But thanks to our media promotional powers, we can bring not only the anime character, but the pro wrestling talent. Actual person can be bring up to the IP stage. So today's outline is threefold. The character IP market, character IP creation, and create a foundational IP market. I start to explain what's going on it. So nobody doubts it. Japan is made of the characters. Mostly the anime and mangas was a creation ground for every kind of the characters. And soft power it is said, but basis manga and anime, it will be some core strengths of our country's power to bring it to the other ancillary region. And to look at this chart, I can see how strong each character is and how economic powers each character has. So starting from the 40 to 45 years ago, the Anpanman was a bit more fit to the preschools, early stage of the customers, but that even such an early stage character can gain 15 million in a total of the history with a market size created by the one character. And Hello Kitty or the Sanrio was also going to the 10 billion something. And Gundam. So in US base, more of a film-based market has created, like Star Wars is the biggest iconic one. But after that, nobody doubts it. Recently, the Pokemon Go boosted up that scale much more than this chart, but over the 14 billion created by the one character. It's a very astounding number. And Harry Potter was also the American one. And SpongeBob and Evangelion. A recent one is Yokai Watch. So many users flocked into the collecting the card of the Yokai Watch. But the one missing big things is in United States, there's the characters which paves the way of those business itself. So intellectual property business has been created by these characters. Actually, the size is uncountable, and I don't need to name that name. Yeah, actually, but the character mostly come from the US, based in film market, and also Japan manga, anime, game market. My question is why US, Japan only the ground to create such a copious number of the characters? Why this kind of economy cannot be generated from the other market? That is my continuous question. And last 5 years, by using the gaming power, I always ask about these things. And so that's gonna be the main part of this session. So it's a bit more definition. What is characters and what is IP? So in the center of the global, domestic, product and service, in Japan, there is a Japanese market, but the manga, anime, games, in consolidation, 60 billion. And essentially speaking, the characters have to be domestic. So one of the difficulty to penetrate our character into the different region is, essentially speaking, the user don't want to consume the unfamiliar things. So exceptionally, the case of the film or the Hollywood, or the case of the manga or Japanese publication, that is, very, how should I say that, in a history, in a world market, the biggest portion comes from each independent country. So that's why it was finally globalized. But essentially speaking, all of the contents has to be hard, how should I say that, a big hurdle to surpass the cultural difference. So to take an example, even in Japan, the character market was domestic at the beginning, and 23 billion was a character market, come from the IP business, and there is a amusement, and a game center was also located in this same region, and the live entertainment, and the character goods. In a consolidation, the equivalent size of the 23 billion compared to the 60 billion has generated by this character market. But one of the strengths of the Japanese companies was, Japanese industry was hardware. So thanks to the penetration by the console game hardware or the mobile hardwares, communication market, advertisement market, and media market and hardwares, we slightly success to gain ground even the outside of the Japan, which has a different literacy to consume the characters. But I can say that the contents industry, inside of this contents industry, still the character business is just a component. So 1/10, a bit slightly bigger than that, but in a total of the 100 billions, we always sticking to this point. How can we leverage this character power into this content market? So I replaced the IP business into the contents market, and I'm going to explain what's happening inside of the contents market in Japan. So next slide, what is the contents market? It's a bit more the academic definition, but this is the whole pictures. This pie chart shows you the total size of the contents business, 100 billion in Japan. And everybody knows that the biggest portion comes from movie media, that is a TV. So 40% of the 100 billion total content market come from this movie media. TV's advertisement is the biggest one. And it's a bit limited size, but the music media also portion is a 5%. And the mobile, the gaming is a kind of iconic industry of the Japanese viewpoint, and to bring it to the globalized market, gaming shares 10%. And most domestic one is text media. The texting is a bit difficult one to penetrate, impermeable area to the different cultures. But thanks to those biggest market of the content industry itself, we can successfully make the characters. So today I gotta upload one example that we have succeeded to create. That is a Bang Dream. We have released this much, and in our case, it's a very meticulously tailored process to penetrate this character from scratch. So in our case, we broadcasted a TV animation and a CD and a radio. It's more drilling down to more core users deeply. And a mobile game, it's definitely the revenue pillars to gain profit through this period. And other media is more broadcasting functions. And the texting media is kind of a testing ground to create something. And not only this content industry, but good foods and live concert. So every kind of adjacent areas, we penetrate this character into this market who have not known what this Bang Dream is. So in a total, we try to enclose the users by using the multiple medias. And in case of we synchronize the process by multiple medias, at first people come to realize, okay, it's now going to be fashion. It's worthy to invest. And thanks to that strive, we finally got to the number 3 in the world in a grossing areas. It's so rare. Very astounding number is, so to take an example, in Japan, there are over 1 million, 2 million applications in total. And monthly basis, 3,000 to 4,000 applications has released. And in a yearly basis, 40K to 50K. But only application who can hit to the grossing top 10 could be 1 or 2 or 3 at most. So the main story I'm going to deliver today is how can we win such an lowest lottery. It's quite unusual to hit to this success. So how can IP pervade in the public? I try to track some process to create these characters. So Bushiroad history is we have developed several IP characters from scratch. Bangal was an iconic one. It's one of the top 3 high shared titles in an original trading card game business. But after that, we succeeded to bring the love life in a collaboration with anime and music and live entertainment. And thanks to that experience, we are more confident to get into this Bang Dream trial. And recently, Camera Friends was also our partial investment in animation, but was also good hype in a Google trend. But today, I'm gonna deliver some example of the Bang Dream. So this is a whole structure of the media, but initial concept has started 3 years ago. Can you believe the 3 years without gaining any profit? We push these characters to be bandwagon. So starting from the concept of backed by the success story of the love life, we try to make some entry barrier for the other competitors. Even in the 2014, so 5 or 10 or 15 big company try to flock into this music type, idol type of the game. But what we needed to create some entry barrier. So that's why we started to train voice actors to play music. It's in some sense very irrational process because training them to play the guitars, play drum, it takes a long way. So we examined to make a live and 2014, 2015, and through the process of this trend, we gradually to know how people can get affection to these characters. So at the starting point of the actors live entertainment, we also learning the publication that is a relatively cheaper media to create. And the comic and the novel has already published, and the radio was also operated by those actresses. And biggest investment is a TV animation. 2 or 3 million is needed to make it. And definitely gaming is now recently 5 to 10 million is needed for the investment of development. But we meticulously to monitor the people's affection and how much we can invest on these characters. And one good thing is by using trial media, publication and live entertainment, actual person, it helped to create some big investment pillar. Gaming and TV animation, the wasting money is just exploration. What kind of character is needed? What kind of story is fitable to the market? But those kind of experimentation can be achieved by the other cheaper media, publication, and those live entertainment. So by using those story or arts created by the publication, we simultaneously started the development of the TV anime, and the live entertainment also created the music itself. So we also sold the CD of the February, August, and December, and the 2 years strive to keep publishing that music. So we started to create some core user base from the ground. And by using the power of the TV and publication, it's going to be a bit more the mass-targeted medias. And gradually we broadening the fan to mass. But we have to put our eye on it. By this timing of the mobile game, we have been losing the money. We keep pushing our money onto the training. Not only our operation side, but also the customer side. So through such an countless endeavor, finally our release has just last March, but it hit the top 3. So Bang Dream was not made in a day. It took us 3 years by this moment. But 3 years effort crystallized IP with certified core fan base. But one of the good things we have some other market as Japan is there's some consolidation of the medias. By using some multiple medias and we have a strong relation with each medias, it's more easier rather than other market to operate the media simultaneously. So fan is always keen to know how this character is going to be fashioned. The checking criteria is not only the one business pillar, not only the live entertainment, but music is also operating and comic books is also publishing. So by seeing those trends and people are enclosed with those multiple media, they come to understand, okay, it's tipping point. We have to invest on it. Then we try to create some mood. It's a very intangible process. But one of the fortunate things for us is we, as the owners, Mr. Kirani, was a producer from the scratch. He was the person to bring this idea. He was the person to connected all the related medias. So without such an sometimes insane enthusiasm, it's very irrational process because 3 years keep investment. Normal company historically, the number of the new characters is getting less and less in these days because of as big as the organization is, or sometimes it's gonna be listed company, nobody can bet on those relational process of the character creation. So I want to explain that some difference of the creation process of the Japan and US. So one of the specialty happening in Japan is there's some, in Japan, the legal standpoint. So you can see the backlight of the creators. So Japan is extremely strong legal for the moral rights of the characters. Even though we acquire the character, but we have to continue the connection with the creators. We cannot detach from the creators. So most way to create the IP in Japan is we make a consortium of the committee to connect with the creators, and each players and each section consolidated to one committee. And this idea comes from each players have to be recouped by their own strength areas. So publisher, TV media, film publishers, because of the relation with creator is crucial to make IP in Japan. And more than that, in a consolidation, we can make a buying power to the device and the channel. So group-owned IP is the idea of Japan, and in tandem with creators. So bottom-up approach. So what we need to care to create IP in Japan is always we have to take care of the relational things. More cooperative action to the organization is always the principle to make the characters. So mixed media approach, it is said. In contrast, US case is very easy to take out the moral rights from creators. After acquisition of IP, one big conglomerate like a Disney or Warner or News Corporation, they have big concern to govern total business period. So they tend to do a top-down approach. But one media conglomerate free controls IP. So top-down approach meaning of the transmedia approach. So the one solid idea of characters is simply proliferated into each region. So this is a chart. It's in contrast to the former Japanese IP creation process. This is the American way. So starting from the theaters. So huge investment happened at the beginning in a film's case. So Star Wars has created and video, DVD, and toys, and a video game, and the publication. So demand curve is sliding down, but the volume is widening up. So through the process of we always see some meeting point of the marginal cost of the demand. So finally, every trial can be recoverable, and the final gaining can recoup the total cost of production. So initial film is not enough to cover all the cost. So in the case of the Star Wars, in accumulation of the total 7 or 8, 10-ish of the titles they have developed as a Star Wars brand. But 926 million. Retail revenue is 4.5 billion. But estimated revenue, even such a historically biggest IP, the pure ticketing price is not recoverable as total cost of production. So that's why they start to explore the different pillars to create IP, to create a revenue. So videos and toys and video games, publication, sometimes it's surpassing the boundary. So let's take an example of our Bushiroad title. We also publishing the Bushiroad. That is the name of the trading card game business, but that also correlated with them about the Star Wars IP. So thanks to those multiple pillars, they can gain more profit than their investment. So USA takes top-down approach, transmedia. So capital-intensive production in compared to the more labor-intensive production in Japan. So what I can see here is IP creation synonymous with industrial challenges to orchestrate buying powers. It's quite opposite way of the US way and the way and the Japanese way. But at any rate, we have to consolidate it to make a consortium to gain some huge power to negotiate and to collect attention in one spot. So what is the outcome of today's session is I'm just going to explain some hope. How can we create those kind of character even in the ASEAN region? I'm not too optimistic about this region because you can see the whole worldwide content industry. It has grown well, 700 billion to the 1,000 billion. But the biggest portion comes from USA and China. Japan is quite stagnant, as you may know. But ASEAN region, population-wise, ASEAN and EU is quite similar. And the ASEAN population is much bigger than EU. But the number comes from ASEAN. Number-wise, it's getting bigger, but in a proportional wise, it's a bit less progressing than the other region. That comes from these ideas. It's gonna be the last chart of my today's session, but vertical line meaning of the leisure market per users. So how much they pay for the entertainment contents in yearly basis. And the horizontal line shows you the GDP per capita. So in normal manners, people gaining more money, meaning of the more disposable income for the entertainment. So amidst those multiple countries, USA, Japan, and China takes a very iconic role. The actual number is here, but it is going to be like this. USA is growing slightly, and Japan is stable. China could be double. But in compared to this market size of the entertainment business in this region, difficulty to tackle in this ASEAN region is here. Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia, Philippines, in a consolidation of the 6 countries, we accumulated to the Russian size of market. I don't mean to underestimate the size of the Russia, but comparatively, as a mother market of the ASEAN, it's a bit difficult to penetrate these ASEAN-originated characters. And Singapore's position is quite unique. It's not necessarily correlated to the buying power into the entertainment expenditures. Singaporean is too diligent not to pay money for the entertainment, unfortunately. But without creating some ground, people used to use the money for the entertainment. It's a bit hard to create a mother market to create a ground. So today's session is, I cannot take some time to make an example of how can we make the character even in this ASEAN. But some example come from the Korea or East Europe. Even the small countries, they have some example to bring that character into the big market. But what I can say here is in tandem with those mother market companies, like Japan, China, the US, collaborators may help to bring your character into the mass market. Without gaining money in a mass market, mother market, it's a bit harder to create a big character ground. So IP creation is the very challenge of unusually very segmented company for the unusually consolidated media market and by unusually contrived creators. There's a lot of behind stories of how do we create the boundary, but also the Bushiroad could be one of the good partner potentially to help you to bring sometimes bring your character into Japanese market, or sometimes can bring our character into this ASEAN region market. So that is the story I'm going to tell today, and thank you for the patience.